And we are going to start today in Sphinx. So whether you choose to start in Sphinx or Child's Pose or Butterfly, it's a very often we want to start a class with a very simple and easy pose so that we can really rein in our attention, bring ourselves onto the yoga mat completely. We all have this experience where we can get our body to one place, but it takes a while for our attention to get there too. So maybe close your eyes and just notice if you can remember any of your dreams. You'll notice if you wake up to an alarm, sometimes it really does its job and it alarms you. And so you might right away forget your dreams or what you were dreaming about. And dreams are so odd and confronting and strange. So sometimes it's hard to believe that they are connected to some longer trajectory of our humanity. That the dreams somehow belong to the spiritual world. And that still there's something so necessary about sleeping and dreaming. That, like the planets moving in the sky, your dreams are actually not to punish you or make you feel guilty about weird things. But essentially, are supposed to be a help, a tool, an inroad to another part of yourself. You might even hear some people say like, oh, I don't dream. And probably mentally go, yes, you do. You just don't remember them. So having a practice first thing in the morning of trying to remember your dreams is actually part of our inner work. For the last minute, if you want to extend your arms into seal, feel free. Sometimes I even like to bend my knees, but you want to find a way to come out of the pose where you actually first come into it more in a yang way with your muscles. So I'll often, stretch my arms out or wiggle them closer to me and actually try to lift my feet and bring my head to my feet and then soften down to the ground. Wiggling my butt side to side, your butt in this case will make your back feel better than me wiggling my butt. And then roll onto your left side and place your left hand underneath your head. So I talk about this being Beachasana, and stretch your top leg straight out from your hip. So the temptation is to kind of let it be low. You actually want to really stretch it out. And sometimes if you have like a couch or a heavy piece of furniture, sometimes it's nice to just rest your foot against that, and you can be even more passive. And then bend your left foot and hold on to, sorry, that would be, yes, your left foot. And hold on to your foot and pull your heel to your buttocks. You feel a stretch kind of in the belly of the thigh. And if you have a little bit more openness and flexibility in your body this morning, you can also then bring your shoulders down to the mat like Pear has here. And for some people, especially if you're very flexible and athletic, you might actually have to move your left heel slightly away from your buttocks to get more sensation in your thigh. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh it out, feeling your physicality respond to your breath. And take these next couple of moments to really just notice what your thinking has been like this morning. And you know that even though we contemplate what our dreams were first, and then we start to observe our thinking, and next we'll move on to kind of observing our feeling, these realms are not divided with convenient walls that marks their division. They are connected like with membranes, so their stuff kind of passes in between. So now take some time to notice if your thinking is colored by your dreams or kind of tinted with your feelings. And then move into your feeling realm and start to observe what's there today. And then roll back to center and roll all the way onto your right hand side. You can moan and groan. Finding some mornings more groan heavy than others. So starting with Beachasana, and stretch your left leg straight out from your left hip. And if you need to, you can always put a small bend in your left knee there. And then reach back with your left hand and grab onto your right foot. Maybe lay your shoulders down to the mat. Maybe not. You might be hanging out with your hand underneath your head and your elbow underneath your wrist, so you're supported more passively here. And again, as we start to observe our own feelings, we'll notice that how we're thinking can influence our feelings. And we also notice that the way our body feels can influence our feelings. Like, for instance, if you've ever had especially chronic back pain, but back pain in general, like it does this immediate job on your feeling life where you just don't feel the resilience that you normally have, or you don't feel the youth that you normally feel. And in our study around organs through the traditional Chinese system, we know that our organs play a role in tempering and coloring our feelings. So move down into your body and now start to observe the physical sensations in your body. And this is, sometimes I don't mention it. I just say, oh yeah, feel your physical body. But we don't feel our body without energy being present in our body, even a very low amount. So your physical check-in is really this place of how my physical body's doing, but also how the energy then is. Because, for instance, like if we have cirrhosis of the liver or a liver disease, we don't feel it in our liver. I mean, if someone kicks you in your liver, you feel it, but you don't feel an imbalance in your organ directly often, but you'll feel the effects of that imbalance in the rest of your body. And you'll feel the way it affects the flow of your own energy. It's a little bit like when you have a corpse, we know it doesn't feel anything. So your body by itself actually isn't animated. You need this life force, you need this energy, and even some degree of presence to have sensation. In our humanity, we find this union of the manifest and the unmanifest together shaping our experience. And then roll back onto your belly. You can grunt and growl, wiggle and jiggle. Feel that the movement of sound as well as the physical movement in your body helps sensations move in you. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders and push your hips back to your heels to cross your ankles, and then roll over your crossed ankles, stretching your legs out in front of you. And we're going to do caterpillar. Now, I don't know if you know much about caterpillars, but they're not very fast. So especially first thing in the morning, we want to honor that. And we're not going to like yank and force our body into the forward bend that we know our body does if we're warmed up. But instead, we're going to slide the fluffy part of our butt underneath us and come forward first with a gentle extension. So I just reach, I'm like pushing my sit bones back as I slide my chest forward. This just keeps my back in extension, which is especially useful if you have a tender spine, a tender back. And then once you can't go any further without forcing things, then you soften into the pose. And caterpillar, more than any other posture I find in our practice, will change drastically from now to the end of class, for instance, or even now till the next, probably between 3 and 5 minutes. And you might even feel the moments, if you're quiet enough, where all of your ligaments kind of decide together, oh, they really mean this. Okay. And you'll feel this like release in your ligaments. We're much more attuned to feeling the surface of our body, and yin yoga works deeper than that. So you really have to be kind of mindful and quiet in that moment to feel it. But noticing the sensations in your body and how they change from one pose to the next. And you may even play with noticing how even your attention can bring energy into your body and evoke sensation. Notice if you're holding back, perhaps you can soften a little bit more. I bless the day for the wonderful adventure it can become as I walk through it with the eyes of wonder rather than boredom. Use every opportunity to express peace rather than irritation. And choose love over fear. Words by Pierre Radevand. But I bless this day for the wonderful venture it can become. It's a little bit like a reminder, like every day is like no other day. On some days where I sleep poorly or I find that I'm, blessed to be a woman and full of cramps or have some sensation in my body that's making me uncomfortable, I find it can be a salve to remind myself that this is the way I need to be to receive gifts of the day. Sometimes I can't receive certain gifts if I feel all shiny and wonderful and independent and full of it. With your next inhale, roll up. And then once again, you're going to cross your ankles and roll over your crossed ankles. And this time you're going to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to transition from our yin to our yang with a toe pose. So you want to be brave enough to sit on your heels if you can, with all your toes tucked under. I sometimes have to help my baby toes. They're not as enthusiastic about tucking under as the rest of them. And sometimes for some people, this is excruciating already and not manageable. And then you just sit on your feet for a moment. And let's bring our hands to heart center. And while we're still in toes pose, we're going to om. You just have to make sure your ohms aren't ouches. So close your eyes, empty your breath. Let's take a big inhale together. Ah. And then release your hands down, lovingly slap out your feet. All feelings. Mm-hmm. And then maybe rock back onto your heels, stretching the tops of your feet. And then rock forward again onto your hands and your knees and start to just wiggle around, kind of undulating your spine, seeing what feels good, what feels weird, making circles, making figure eights or lemniscapes. You can try some barrel rolls with your ribs. And then just tuck your toes under and lift your knees and see if you can move a little bit with your knees slightly lifted. It might feel a little strange or a little intense. And then keeping your knees low, push back with your hips to bear pose. Take a nice full deep breath. And then with your exhale, start to extend your legs, reaching your hips up further for downward facing dog. Feel your fingers spread out. Maybe even lift up your toes and spread out your toes, relaxing them back down to the ground. Feel your heels heavy while you're lifting the front of your ankles. Take a nice full inhale, empty your breath just as thoroughly. Look forward and lightly hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, feel free to fly your arms, noticing that this kind of awakens the back of your back or your body. And then with your exhale, bend your knees a little bit more and hug the back of your knees, letting your head tuck in. Then root down and roll all the way up to standing, stretching your arms up over your head. And then exhale, come to center, Samastitihi. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. You can even swan dive or bring your hands through heart center, bending your knees when you need to. Then inhale, halfway lift, feel the extension of your spine and step back to plank. And let's just take a couple of breaths here. And the reason to do this is to really wake up more the center of our body, our belly here in plank. So you pull your belly up, you feel your heels reaching back, feel yourself lifting in between your shoulder blades. And then inch forward and slowly come through Chaturanga all the way to the ground. Stretch your toes. Like feel like you're trying to bury your toenails in your yoga mat. Your knees will pop off the ground. And then with that power in your legs, lift up low cobra. So sometimes you might want to extend your arms into full cobra, but it's okay only if your knees are lifted off the yoga mat. Take another full inhale. We've lingered. And with your exhale, slowly come back to downward facing dog. Maybe pushing back onto your knees. Or if you're feeling a little, spicy, feel free to lift up into plank and then reach back. Take another full inhale and just sigh out your breath. Oh, nice. You can see better. Take another fueling inhale, unhurried. Empty your breath all the way. Look forward and lightly hop, quietly bending your knees when you land. Inhale, fly your halfway lift. Feel it connect you to the back of your body. With your exhale, bow forward, hug the back of your legs, let your head drop and curl in. And then root down and rise up. Stretch up to the ceiling. And exhale straight forward into your forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale this time all the way to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. So in our downward facing dog, we want to feel at home, but we don't want to like go home and like turn off the lights. Instead, like check it out, see what's going on. You might notice that your first downward facing dog felt like more work than maybe your fifth or sixth. Just start to notice, where do you feel strongest? Where do you feel most challenged? Empty your next breath all the way. Look forward and lovingly hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. And then bend your knees, drop your hips, and sweep your arms into Utkatasana. And again, let's take a couple breaths here. So one way to produce heat is by going fast and rhythmical. Another way to produce heat is by staying. See if you can let your hips drop down while your heart lifts up. Notice if you feel like you're starting to get warmer. Feel that your breath is like the bellows for the fire. Take another full inhale and bow forward. That should feel really nice. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fly to chaturanga. Inhale, your back bend, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. So first, really just extend your leg, maybe spread your toes, roll your ankle, move it around a bunch. You can even experiment with your straight leg, take your leg away from the center and then back to the center and feel the different challenge that presents. And then re-extending back through center, bend your knee with your next exhale and let your hips spin open. So you could imagine that your chest is twisting towards the yoga mat and your hips are twisting away from it. When actually we just want to keep our chest still, or our shoulder girdle. With your next exhale, you're going to bring your right knee and see how high on your right arm you can touch your knee. Maybe it's your armpit, maybe it's your elbow. And then inhale, stretch your right leg long. And then with your exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb and let your left knee come down onto the ground. Lift your hands to your right knee, making sure that your left foot isn't sickled. Already here, imagine your hips are in a vice and squeeze your hips together a little bit. And then you can drop your hips down and come into the stretch. And then squeeze your hips together, soften and drop into the stretch. One more time, squeeze your hips together and then soften into the stretch. And then see if you can find really that in between. So you're lightly squeezing your hips, but still stretching. Raise your arms up, pulling your Uddiyana Bandha in. And then with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing doggy. Feel your fingers spread out, helping you open your chest. And with your exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, extend your left leg up to the sky. So explore, wiggle your toes, roll your ankle. Maybe again, experiment with your leg extended, take it out away from the midline. Feel how it gets way more intense, and then take your leg back towards the midline. We're teaching our body like body intelligence by feeling and noticing. And then bend your knee and let your hips spin open, keeping your chest bravely squared to the yoga mat. And with your next exhale, see how high you can bring your left knee onto your left arm. So maybe it's your shoulder, maybe it's the top of your shoulder. And then inhale, extend your leg. With your next exhale, step your left foot to your left thumb and let your right knee come down to the ground. Lift your hands again to your knee. And we're going to do the squeeze and stretch. So with your inhale, just squeeze your hips together. You might really like to engage your root lock there, or remind yourself to engage the root lock. And then with your exhale, ideally keeping the locks, you're going to drop into the stretch of your groins in the front of your right thigh. Squeeze in. Feel this activation that happens. Drop into the stretch. Re-squeeze in. And then really trying to find that in-between spot. So you're still active, but you're stretching. Raise your arms up. Maybe starting to lift your gaze. And ride your exhale all the way to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your knees softly bend. Imagine trying to reach the crease where your butt meets your thigh up towards the sky. Take another full inhale, empty your breath all the way. And this time you're going to hop both your feet forward and come into Garland Pose. Then interlace your fingers, and with your next inhale, stand up and enjoy a baby back bend. With your exhale, down into Garland. Place your hands and see shoulder distance apart, and see if you can jump back to chaturanga from here. So you're ready low. Yes. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, just a weirdly modified sun salutation. And then inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. With your exhale, tap your right knee to your left elbow. Feel your belly lift up. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. With your exhale, step your right foot all the way forward to your right thumb and rise up, Crescent Lunge. Again, activate your hips, squeezing together. And with your next exhale, tap the ground with your left knee. Inhale, straighten both of your legs. Exhale, tap down. Inhale, straighten both of your legs. Exhale, tap down. Now see where your right thigh is. See if you can keep it that low. And then extend your left leg. Pull your Uddiyana Bandha in. Take a full inhale. And with your exhale, bravely open up Warrior Two. Let's breathe here. So feeling that the alignment helps you. You want to have your right knee over your right ankle. That's Warrior Two 101. Okay, I hate that reference. Can't believe I just said that. It's the first step. It's what we hear about Warrior Two. Now, the intermediate adjustment is to open up the left side of your torso. So you open up your left ribs, your left hip slightly. Gorgeous. Now find your drishti over your middle finger on your right hand. Notice if your right thigh is like talking stuff to you. Now see if you can keep it this bent as you inhale, reverse your warrior. And then exhale, vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. With your exhale, tap your right elbow. Oop, there it is. Inhale, stretch your leg long. Exhale, step your foot all the way forward, rise up, crescent lunge, your back heel's lifted. Let your arms lift up. And with your next exhale, you're gonna lightly tap the floor with your right knee. Inhale, extend both of your legs. Again, tap the floor lightly with the back of your knee. You're not gonna crash down there. And inhale, extend both of your legs. Third time, tap down. This time, see where your left thigh is. See if you can keep it there and just extend your right leg. Inhale, maybe lifting your gaze. And with your exhale, move into warrior two. It's gonna be awesome. You're so strong. Notice what you tell yourself makes a huge difference. Notice what you listen to in yourself. Of course, we all have this experience of feeling weak when we're building our strength, of feeling inflexible when we're working on gaining more flexibility. So you notice where you want to listen in yourself. Do you listen to your saboteur who's constantly saying like, you're going to fuck it up, just fuck it up? Or do you listen to something else? Notice if you can open up the right side of your torso, keeping that brave lunge in your left knee. Inhale, reverse your warrior, lifting up out of your waist. And exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, maybe slowing it down just a smidge to enjoy this extension. And with your exhale, downward facing dog. Bending your knees a little bit. Now, this next little play is we're gonna practice hopping. We're gonna practice hopping. It's probably like bunny asana, if you think about it. But we're gonna do 5 hops, and on the 6th hop, we'll land at the top of our mat. So you're just keeping your knees bent. You're playing with this. You're trying to get your hips over your shoulders. Maybe, especially if you have a handstand practice, you might be able to hold it. And so you want to hold handstand with your legs bent. Be brave with your butt. I know, weird sentence, but that's where it drags me down. I have to really think about bringing my butt forward. Beautiful, Sabine. That was awesome. Okay, next hop to the front of your yoga mat. Come into Garland Pose again. Oh yeah. Now, interlace your fingers and then switch your grip. Very good. Inhale, stand up, baby back bend. Exhale, Malasana. And this time, we're gonna work on coming into crow. So you're gonna bring your knees to the backs of your arms. And then with your elbows slightly bent to start, you're gonna shift your weight forward, maybe lift up one foot, maybe lift up the other. And with your exhale, see if you can find chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Take a full inhale here, then exhale, tap your right knee to your right elbow. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. Exhale, step your right foot forward. This time, you're gonna spin your left heel down. You're warm enough for warrior one. Rise up. And with your exhale, take your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. So you have warrior one hips here, and you're going to bow your head down for humble warrior to the inside of your right ankle. So this is a fierce resting pose. So notice, even though it's a hard posture, where can you keep your focus, find your peace? There's no art to being peaceful when you're sitting on the couch. You want to be peaceful when you're challenged, when you're confronted, when you're in conflict. And then with your exhale, see if you can fly your arms out underneath your right thigh. And then place your hands on the ground. Toe heel your right leg out to the right. Maybe include running man or just practice bending your elbows here. And then exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. You know, we just have the left side and then like our hard work is done. So inhale and extend your left leg up to the sky. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Enjoy this inhale here. And with your exhale, bring your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, extend your left leg. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Rise up, warrior one. Your back heel spins down to the ground. Your back heel's grounded. Warrior one. It's totally okay. And then with your exhale, bring your hands behind your back. Now switch your grip because we always go one way. And then bow down, dropping the crown of your head to the inside of your left foot. So your hips stay in warrior one. So that means they're squaring to the front of your yoga mat. So see if you can close your hips a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I know that's harder. How can we be peaceful peacemakers in the middle of intensity? That is where we really need to invite grace. From here, release your arms and thread your left arm underneath your left thigh. Stretch your wings out. Bring your hands to the front of the yoga mat. Let your right heel lift up. Then toe heel your left foot out to the left. Bend your elbows. See if you can find running man. And exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Take another full inhale, and with your exhale, empty your breath all the way so you're light when you float your legs through your arms and come onto your butt. Very nice, very nice. So you should be maybe glowing a little bit. Or just take the sweat out of your eyes. Slowly lower yourself down to the yoga mat. Slide your heels in. And we're going to lift up into bridge. So keep your feet hip distance apart. Keep the action in your legs. I know you're sweaty and a little bit worked. Let that be fuel instead of I don't know what the other thing is. Let it fuel you instead of slow you down. Maybe you can shimmy your arms underneath and hold hands, or maybe you want to do this kind of half passive one where you actually place your palms underneath your hips, your sacrum, and your fingers are stretching out. Oh, nice pair. Just like Pear is showing right here. You can squeeze your elbows in a little bit. Feel the action. It's okay to shake. Don't you let your knees splay out. Get active in your legs so that your knees stay lined up over your ankles. Lift a little higher first, And then start to roll down one vertebrae at a time. Like you're laying a beaded necklace onto a surface. Let your feet slide out, drop your knees together. Take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Okay, without too much weight, do it again. So yogi's choice, bridge or wheel. So both take a lot of leg work. You might notice in a yoga class, like a lot of the women seem to like nail bridge, and it might be harder for men. This is because we have naturally women tend to be stronger in their lower body and weaker in the upper body. And it's the power of the legs that brings us into this back bend. Slowly lower down, all the way to the ground. Let your knees drop together as your feet slide out. Now this one is a little challenging. If you did wheel, do wheel one more time. If you've only done bridge, feel free, bridge or wheel. Slide your feet back in. Notice that you also can adjust your attitude and invite your inner yes, that you're in charge. Let your body follow you. And up you go. Breathe into it. Enjoy the struggle, the challenge. If you need a little bit more, feel free to stretch one of your legs straight up to the sky. Also feel free not to. And then switch your legs. And then when you're ready, find your way back down to the ground. Let your feet slide out, your knees drop together, feeling your hand on your belly, one on your chest, maybe even switch the hands from last time. So this is the parts of us that we need activated to be peacemakers, right? Activated to be present. So we have our heart forces open, our heart is open. It takes a lot of work. And courage, and you can really think of courage coming from the belly area. This is also like will, comes from more of the belly area. And then hug your knees to your chest. And take your favorite twist, recline twist here, twist on our back. So either one leg or two, twisted root or not. But starting by taking your knees to the left. And in all of the variations, you want to make sure your knees are as high as your hips. And you'll notice that just lightly engaging your abdominal muscles, part of what it does is it really firms up your core here. And so we have front core, we've got back core, and we even have side core. And we've worked on all of them to some extent today. So you can feel that the activation of this center here holds you in a way that is protective. And so it allows you to do this twist without wrenching your lower back out of place. Take a full inhale and just sigh out your next exhale with a little drama and noise. Even though you might still not like it, it is so useful to get hot and sweaty and breathless at least once a day. Hug your knees back to center. And then drop your knees lovingly and slowly to the right-hand side. Again, being mindful that engaging your abdominals always can help protect your lower back. And keeping your knees as high as your hips allows the twist to come not into your hips, but into your spine. Notice what happens when you enjoy a sighing exhale. And then if you're feeling ready, it's time for Shavasana. So if you're not feeling ready, you always can turn off the video and, work out for another hour, then do Shavasana. But your Shavasana is actually the most important pose. Palms open to receive. If your lower back is hurting, you're always welcome to have your knees bent, your feet as wide as your yoga mat, and your knees falling back together. How's that for a little coziness? Let gravity have you for a little while, but let your attention stay in your body and in the room. If you can't keep your eyes closed, you can cover them. With your next inhale, invite your breath back to the edges of your body. Invite some movement with your breath. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes, or just start to move from the extremities to your core. With your inhale, you can stretch your arms long over your head, reach your feet away from your hands, and with your exhale, curl into a ball. And then roll onto your side, or just fake it. However you want to get there, take a couple moments to come into a seated position. Doing half lotus or full lotus. And then bring your hands to heart center. Notice that when you root down to the solidness of the earth, you have more lightness to lift up towards the sky. With your eyes closed, empty your breath, and let's finish with one Om. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. Namaste. And so much love. Great job. Thank you so much. Keep your practice on. Yeah.